common law man and wife. Is there any such thing? No, there isn't. There is no such thing as a common law man and wife. If you are not married and you live together, you're said to be cohabiting. If you are married, you're a married couple, but there's no in between. There is no common law man and wife. Statistics show now that the marriage rate has dropped significantly, therefore the divorce rate has dropped significantly, so there are more and more people who live together as cohabitants rather than as married couples, and that really has an effect on the legal rights and obligations that each party has to each other if that relationship breaks down. Ending the relationship to begin with has two different ways. If you live together, the relationship ends when one party moves out of the property. If you are married, to end your relationship formally, you need to be divorced. There is no such documentation that's available for unmarried couples unless you have a separation agreement. In terms of entitlement for unmarried couples, it's very restricted. The only claims that unmarried couples have at the moment under the current legislation will be in relation to property that they may live in or that they may jointly own. Unmarried couples would not have claims against the other's income unless they have children. That's the only time they can make any claim, for example, for maintenance, for child maintenance, or for ongoing provision. You wouldn't be able to make a claim as an unmarried person against your other party's income, even if you are financially dependent on that person completely. Once your relationship has ended, the only claim that you will have is in relation to any property that you may have lived in together or that you may jointly own. An unmarried person wouldn't have a claim against their partner's pension provision, even if their relationship has been going for 30, 40 years. The only claims that they have against each other is in relation to assets that they may jointly own. Birth of a child or of a death, birth of a child or registration of a death, that has consequences for married and unmarried couples also. If you have a child together, you are only able to register both the mother and the father together if you're unmarried, if both parents are present at the time of registration. If you are married, one party can register both names because they're married. The other thing to consider when registering a father on a birth certificate, if you're an unmarried couple, is that that parent will automatically get parental responsibility, so automatically have legal rights and obligations, whereas if you are married, a father automatically has parental responsibility on birth. They don't necessarily need to be registered on a birth certificate. If a father is not named on the birth certificate in an unmarried case, it may have implications in terms of the entitlement for benefits that the mother may have, because it may be that she can claim more as an unmarried single parent. But there is a requirement on the mother, if she was to contact the child support agency, to name the father, because the only way to make any kind of claim against a father is if you do go through the child support agency. So you would need to ensure that he is named for that purpose, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's got to be named on the birth certificate. You can still contact the child support agency that way. Next of kin is something that unmarried couples also need to consider. If your partner had an accident, you are not their next of kin if you're an unmarried person. The next of kin will be their parent or their child in terms of the pecking order for how next of kin is worked out. If you are married, your next of kin is automatically your spouse. Similarly, with registration of a birth, when you're registering a death of a partner, if you're unmarried, you cannot register the death of your partner that you live with, even if you've lived together for years and years, because you're not their next of kin. If you are married, you can register the death of your spouse.